So I really love this movie. I saw it at TIFF and was just blown away. But part of what really struck me is that for most of the cast, including you two, it's not a horror movie for most of the runtime. So can you talk to me a little bit about what it's like performing in this film where maybe the concept is a ghost story, but for your character, for most of it, it's not?
This movie has so much patience to build the tension. This movie is going to wring you out before it releases any of that tension. At Sundance, people would walk out of the premiere. People walked out of a Steven Soderbergh premiere at Sundance because they just couldn't take the stress of the situation, which is really hard to do in a movie, to create that kinetic energy that, when it releases at the end of this film, is terrifying.
What's it like?
What's what like?
I never had anybody die.
Scary. You fall into this hole, and the sides are mud, and you can't get out.
The tension and the suspense, because I didn't really see it as horror. Even up until the end, I thought it was, I mean, obviously there's that character of the presence, but it's, to me, it seems so benign, and it has feelings, you know, you really feel it shaking, you feel it becomes a real entity.
What I loved so much about the script is that, I don't know, it felt like the focal point was not about the presence, even though everything you see is through the lens of the presence. But for most of the film, you feel like this fly on the wall. You feel uncomfortable. You're seeing things you shouldn't be seeing. And I think that's what's great about this film. It's like, there's that part to it as well. And seeing how we all interact with each other, our characters, and how we grow from the beginning to the end. I don't know, I just think it's so beautiful and very rare to come by a script like that.
The relationships between the family members and the relationship between the students, you know, and their peers, it's the malady of humanity that is really more of the horror part of that, and what we do to each other.
We kind of come into this family's journey at a very fractured time. And I think a lot of that is set up before that David kind of really cleverly intertwines in between the scenes. But a lot of it is figuring out what's the family dynamic and not just worrying about how you're gonna scream at the ghost coming out.
All these characters had lives that they were living very much outside the house. It was a lot on us as the actors to really build those relationships that we have with people, with the outside world.
Well, you certainly get the most time actually aware of the presence, but on top of that, not only is that difficult to act opposite a camera that is standing in for a ghost, but it's the director behind the camera. So can you tell me a little bit about that experience? Yeah, it was different. It was my first time experiencing that, and it was very fun. And as I keep saying to everyone, it felt like my scenes where I was alone, it was me and Steven. Like, presence should have been on the call sheet, you know? It was really a dance. I was acting and reacting with Steven, but luckily, you know, most of the time I couldn't see his face, so I wasn't distracted by anything, and it was just this huge lens in my eyes, so it felt, yeah, like a presence almost. It worked, but it felt like a dance. We had to move around each other.